Hello, beautiful people. Another amazing day, another lovely day. Blessed to be alive, blessed to experience life for even one more day. And I'm at a different park today, right? This park is way better than the ones I usually film my videos at. There's a lot more scenery, a lot more places to explore, a lot more trees. It's lovely. It's really lovely. I really hope y'all are doing well. Hope y'all are taking care of yourselves. Hope y'all are taking the time out to enjoy life and just be present as much as possible, right? I really do think that there's always something for us to be grateful for, despite the challenges that life might throw at us. Despite what obstacles we might face during the days, there's always something to be grateful for. And the onus on us is to find those things and focus on them, right? Because, you might have your problems, you might have your challenges, so on and so forth. But focusing on only your problems aren't going to, sort of make them better, right? Because wherever we place our attention is ultimately where we place ourselves and where we keep ourselves, right? And so if it's possible for you to find things in your life that, you know, you can be grateful for and focus on those things, then I think it opens the door for better things to come into our lives, right? Now, today I wanted to talk about something that has been on my mind for a while, something that is very important for us to really understand, right? And what I want to talk about today is why you should be content with less. And the reason why I decided to make this video today was because I was having a conversation with someone recently, right? And in the conversation, she was saying that she doesn't want to get to a point in her life in which she is content. Now, I understood the premise of what she was trying to say, right? Apparently, or I am insinuating that what she was trying to say was that she wants to always be in pursuit of better things. She always wants to be going after more, right? Which is, I think it's important for us to always strive for more in life, right? Because, there's always more to have. But I do think the problem comes in when we make our happiness, when we make our contentment, or we attach our sense of happiness and contentment to the things that we don't have and to the unacquired in our lives, right? A lot of people in this world, you know, they in a sense believe that having more is going to be the thing that brings them happiness. Having more money, having more achievements, having more cars, you know, owning more houses, right? We sort of have this idea that having more is going to be the thing that brings us happiness, right? And I don't agree with that. I really do think that seeing more in what we have is going to be the thing that brings us happiness, right? Seeing more in what we have in our lives is going to be the thing that brings us a sense of contentment and brings us a sense of joy, right? I think a lot of people are stuck in this continuous rat race, this continuous pursuit of more, right? And a big reason why a lot of us are sort of in this place in which we're not happy. If you look at the world right now, very few people can actually say they're happy with their lives at this moment, right? Very few people can actually say they're content with the lives that they're living, right? Very few people are. And it's not because most of us don't have enough, right? I think we do have enough. If you woke up this morning and you have food, you have a place to stay, you woke up in a nice bed, um, You own a car, you have a job, you have the basic necessities to live, right? If you woke up this morning and you don't even have to worry about some of the things that some people in the world have to worry about, right? And especially if you have a phone and you're literally watching me from a different part of the world across a screen, right? Through a screen, I should say, then you have more than enough. You have more than enough, and you actually don't need more to make you happy, right? But I really believe that if you always believe that you need more to be happy, then you will never truly take the time to look at your life and realize that you're already blessed. Realize that you're in a position in your life in which, you know, compared to, I guess, previous generations, we have more, right? I saw something the other day that said, increasingly as the generations progress, more people are unhappy, more people feel disconnected, more people experience loneliness, more people are just in a place in their lives in which they're not content with, who they are, right? And when you really think about it, we are in a generation in which we have way more compared to the previous generations. Right? We're in a generation in which we don't have to worry about a lot of the things that our ancestors had to worry about. And when you really look at that, you begin to realize that if we're not happier than previous generations despite having more, is it a matter of possessions that making us happy? Or it's more so of a mindset thing? Or it's more so of how we perceive what we have in our lives, right? If you really think about it, it has nothing to do with what we have. And I really do think that if you always feel as if you don't have enough, then you're always going to believe that you're not enough, right? If you don't think you have enough, then you're not going to think you are enough. You're always going to look at someone else that is quote unquote doing better than you, right? And you're always going to think that, you're not enough because you don't possess what this person has. And if you look at the world, most people in this world are always in competition with other people. Most people in this world are always sort of, I guess, competing with, you know, people that they don't even know, right? We take up our phones, we take up our digital devices, we go online, we see people owning certain things and living certain lifestyles, and we become envious and jealous, and we begin to sort of undermine what we have in our lives, right? And if you approach life with the mindset of comparison, if you approach life with the mindset that you need to be ahead of other people and you need to be doing better than other people, then you're definitely not going to be happy, because there's always going to be someone that has more than you. There's always going to be someone that is making more money than you. There's always going to be someone that is, driving a better car, owns more houses, has more achievements, has more accolades, right? There's always going to be someone that has more, and you know, consensusly people say they're doing better in their lives, right? And if we just sort of take away our attention from other people and bring our attention to ourselves, take away our attention from what we don't have and bring our attention to what we do have, then we will sort of begin to realize that we do have enough. We do. Sometimes I find myself in a place in which I'm sort of being ungrateful. I think that I'm not where I should be in my life. I'm not where, you know, other people are at my age, or some people are my age, right? And I think we all fall into this trap. We fall into the trap of constant comparison. But I really think the only competition we really have is the progress that we're making, the growth that we're making in our lives, right? Even when it comes down to something such as success, I really do think that if we sort of redefine what success is and not allow ourselves or our success to be defined by society, then I really do think that we'll find much more happiness in our lives. Instead of thinking of success as owning the best, driving the best, making the most, then we can sort of begin to think about success as our everyday growth, how much we're progressing in our lives, how much we're getting ourselves outside of our comfort zone, right? How much we're trying to be better in our lives, right? If we sort of change how we view success, then I really do think that we will have, a lot more happiness and content in our lives, right? Most people in this world are stuck in a continuous rat race. They're stuck in a place in which they're literally chasing after their shadows and they don't even realize it. The truth is that we were never meant to live like this. Life isn't a battlefield. Life is more of a game. Life is more about the experience of life. Life is more about living close to the heart. Life is more about, I guess, just the experience itself. We're here for such a short time and we deposit so much attention on the things that don't matter. When truthfully, the things that we should be more focused on is the things that are near our hearts and the things that are in our soul, right? The simple things, love, right? Authenticity, gratitude, nature, right? Those are truly the most beautiful and the most simple things in life that we very often overlook. Like recently, I've had this strong desire to be present in nature. And I really think that I'm getting closer to a place in which I'm sort of detaching from the world. And when I say detaching from the world, I don't mean in the sense that I'm renunciating the world. That's not what I'm talking about. When I say detaching from the world, what I mean is detaching from what society has told us is important. I think it was Jesus that said, "Be in the world, but don't be of the world." Right? You can live in the world, but not allow yourself to be defined by the world. You can live in the world and not allow yourself to be on the hamster wheel or abide by this paradigm the society has created about what success, what happiness, what all those things look like, right? Once you begin to live close to your heart, once you begin to simplify your life and focus on the things that truly matter to you, matter to your heart, that's when life becomes beautiful. If your idea of living is to go up into the mountains and, you know, live and congregate with nature, then do that. There are few people online that I follow, YouTube specifically. This is one lady online. She left her corporate job and she went up into the mountains and she's living a simple, peaceful life. And you can quite literally tell that she's content with the life that she's living. And I feel like that's kind of what I want to do at some point in my life as well. And on the other hand, if you want to live a life in which you own a huge corporation, you own a big business, the Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Elon Musk. If you want to live a life like that, then I really think you should as well, right? There's no one size fits all as it pertains to life. But the problem comes in when you allow your happiness to be dependent on the unacquired. That's a huge problem. And people think that being content with what you have actually means that you're stagnant. It doesn't mean that you're stagnant at all. There is beauty in being content with what you have, right? Let's talk about it. Once you look at your life, you look at what you have, and you realize that you already have more. You realize that you are blessed at where you are right now in your life, and you say, I have more. I don't need more to make me happy. Then your pursuit of more becomes less of a strain, becomes less of a thing that you do to sort of, you know, acquire happiness, and it becomes more of an expression. It becomes more of something, you do not to find happiness, but as an expression of your happiness. Let's say you're at a point right now in your life in which you have something that you are passionate about. Let's say your passion is to start a fitness business or make a YouTube channel, right? Let's say something of that nature. If you look at your life and you shift your mindset and you begin to realize that you already have what you need and you don't need more to make you happy, then you become less dependent on the success or the achievement that you don't have in this moment, right? You become sort of detached from it. And that detachment is going to allow things to work out way more than you sort of being attached to that success, right? One of the laws of the universe is that you can only have what you already have, as above, so below. If you're attached to something and you need it to work, you need it to work for you to find happiness, then that thing is never truly going to work out. But when you look at your life and you realize that you have what you need and you're content and you're taking action from that place of contentment, from that place of peace, then everything you do, it works out a lot more. Like once you take action from a place of not needing a certain outcome, then things begin to work out better in a lot of ways, right? There's this beautiful quote that I love from, I think it was G.K. Chesterton, in which he says the angels fly because they take themselves lightly. I love that. It sort of reminds us that life is not meant to be sort of a burden. Life is not meant to be an uphill battle. Sure, there are challenges in life, but ultimately those challenges are things that are meant to facilitate our growth. If you're playing a video game, it's still a game, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't have a challenge. The challenge, you know, is the thing that sort of makes it enjoyable. And in the same way, all the challenges that we face, they make life enjoyable as well. They make life peaceful. You know, I, there was a certain point in my life in which I was sort of so dependent on proving myself to others, so dependent on the outcome of a thing working out. And to some degree, I'm still working on that, right? It takes a while for you to sort of deconstruct some of the ideologies that you've adopted, by society. It takes a while. But at the same time, I can feel myself becoming more content. I can feel myself becoming more, you know, grateful and appreciative of where I'm at in life. Despite not being where I want to be, I begin to realize that I'm where I need to be, right? I'm starting to realize that there is beauty in wherever I'm at in life. And wherever I'm at in life is where I need to be because, you can only live in the present moment. And the present moment always provides you with what you need to sort of take away what lessons you need to learn so you can move forward. That's what I'm realizing. That is a beautiful revelation that we all at some point should come to. So, yeah, being content with more doesn't mean that you don't strive for more. No, I'm saying, excuse me. Being content with where you are doesn't mean you don't strive for more. I should say that. It means that you're not attached to, you know, what you don't have or the unacquired. It means that you can slow down, look around you, and find beauty where you are in your life. You know, find beauty in the simple things in your life. It frees you from the immense pressure we place on ourselves. It frees you from the expectations that we place on ourselves. And it begins to soften life. And that's when you begin to sort of blossom. A flower doesn't blossom by forcing it. A flower blossoms gently, you know. And in the same way we blossom when we begin to take ourselves a lot more lightly. We blossom when we begin to allow ourselves to be as we are and love on ourselves as we are. Wherever you are right now in your life, you can give yourself love. You don't have to think you have to become a certain kind of person to be lovable. You don't have to believe that you sort of have to achieve a certain thing so that you can be lovable or be someone of value. You can be valuable wherever you are in your life. Like Alan Watts said, if you see yourself in the right way, then you begin to realize that you are just as beautiful as any expression of nature. You begin to realize that you are just as beautiful as anything in this world. And I find it hilarious how we look around us, especially when it comes down to nature. We see all the trees, we see, the rivers, we hear the birds, sunshine, the rainbows. We see all the beautiful and wondrous things of life. And we see beauty in all those things. But then when it comes on to ourselves, we don't see beauty in our intrinsic value without realizing that we are just of a part of nature as any expression of nature. And I think being out in nature allows you to rediscover the fact that you are valuable despite where you are in your life. You are valuable despite what you have. You are valuable. And it's not about becoming more, having more to see that value. It's about recognizing that value wherever you are in your life. And don't allow your self love to be dependent on where you are and how much you have. Your love should be unconditional, first and foremost, towards yourself. Your love should be unconditional. So, yeah, um, that's it. That's all I have today. Like I said, take some time, go outdoors, enjoy life, find joy in the simple things, be content with where you are right now in your life because no matter how much you achieve, there always going to be something that you don't have. You can't achieve everything in this lifetime. Huh? I don't know, bro. Yeah. Bro was asking me where everybody at. I don't know. Nobody comes to this park like that. This shit empty. But yeah, like I said before bro interrupted me, you know, take time to appreciate life, enjoy the simple things, find joy wherever you are at, and don't allow what you don't have to prevent you from being happy with yourself. Look at your life, recognize what you have, and be content. And that gives you freedom. That freedom actually allows the things that you don't have to be attracted to you. Because the rule of life is that you can only have what you already have. And that's the truth. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Take care of yourselves. Give yourselves a bit of love every day, like I always say. And like I always say, enjoy life. Appreciate the simple things. And be content where you are. Love on yourself where you are. Because you don't have to become someone or achieve a certain thing to be worthy of love. You are worthy of love wherever you are. Peace and blessings.